forward, so they say it's good there.
It'll be in his office, maybe.
Yeah, most likely in the office, yeah.
Would we be able to do that?
I don't see a reason why not.
And see where we can.
Yeah. At that time when transfer all the courts was done, and attorney, unless you have an attorney to represent him at the bond hearing, and then the court will decide if he gets the bond and how much.
When the warrant was issued, what is a capital murder warrant? Do you need to get the phone?
No, they catch it in there.
Sheriff, I guess I just, first off, where do we stand now in this case? What comes next, and what do you have right now?
Right now, Mr. Seeley has been arrested and charged with murder. He was arrested by the sheriff in Coffeyville, Mississippi yesterday, or Saturday rather, and he waived extradition. We flew over yesterday and brought him back to Prattville. He is presently being held until such time as the courts allow him a bond or set the amount, and that will be done in the morning.
Do you feel you have a strong case against him?
I feel like our evidence is very good. We've had good cooperation with everyone involved in the state, the Montgomery Police Department, and out of state, and they've done a fantastic job of getting us all to jail.
How unusual is this case?
Beg pardon?
How unusual is this? Is it out of the ordinary?
It's probably one of the worst cases I've seen as far as mutilation of a body. I don't remember any worse than this.
Has Mr. Seeley indicated any guilt or innocence, or what is he saying?
Mr. Seeley is saying that he does not remember what has happened. He has a background of chronic alcoholism, drug addiction, and right now his alibi is that he doesn't remember.
Okay. Are you going to go into, for the record, any of the things about his nature, believing he's reincarnated and that sort of thing?
Well, that's to be decided later on with the courts. He has professed to be a reincarnated Cherokee, and he, by his actions and the way he speaks from time to time, he believes such. But again, all we're dealing in is facts, and facts are what we go to court with. And I believe tomorrow, when the forensic sciences run a ballistics test on the weapon and the bullets that we have, then we'll finalize our investigation.
Was he found with the weapon?
He was apprehended with the weapon in Mississippi.
Okay. And how many bullets had been fired? And let's sort of go into that in the church and that sort of thing, if you can.
Well, not too far from where the body of Rick Holland was found, there was a church broken into, and the similar type cigarettes that Mr. Seeley smokes, it's Moore, I believe is the brand name, was found in the church along with 4 spent cartridges of .44 caliber. And in our investigation prior to this, we had found that he did have a .44 caliber pistol. And we notified the sheriff on the tip that we had in Mississippi that he would be armed with a .44 and to be looking for him. And shortly after 5 or 6 o'clock Saturday afternoon, the sheriff called back and said he had apprehended Mr. Seeley, and he did indeed have the .44 pistol with 1 cartridge still left in it.
How many cartridges are usually in it?
This one carried 6.
Carried 6?
Mm-hmm.
And if 4 were spent at the church, that would leave 1?
Well, 4 were spent at the place of the homicide in Mr. Holland's residence, we feel, and we don't know whether he had 5 or whether he had 6.
Oh.
We found 1 in his truck also, so that would account for 6.
Mm-hmm. I think that's fine. We can get
2 in the body and 2 in the house.
And he just had 2 wounds?
So far as we know, we
Hard to
haven't.
tell.
We don't have the complete autopsy yet.
Do you expect to get?
It's about 1.5 miles from the scene of the homicide, and then the Prattville Police Department have checked another.
Is there anything done in these churches like any sort of satanic type markings or any of that sort of
No.
weird stuff?
Just appeared that someone spent the night there, and they left their markings by their cigarette butts and their beer cans and their cartridges, so to speak, from time to time.
He didn't like shoot like a statue or anything?
No,
like
no, not to mine. We haven't found that yet.
Okay. Yeah, there was a lot of that up in Birmingham.
2 or 3 years back, we had a cook. Oh, it wasn't a cook killing. There was a man that told him that the devil told him to kill Mr. Davis up here. And he stabbed him multiple times, and that was as close to this one as we've had.
3, 2, 1. Seeley's bond hearing is set for tomorrow morning here at the Autauga County Courthouse. Sheriff Turner says he and the district attorney plan to ask that the judge deny bond for Seeley due to the extreme nature of the case. Lynn Sampson, WSFA TV News. 3, 2, 1. Seeley's bond hearing is set for tomorrow morning here at the Autauga County Courthouse. Sheriff Turner says he and the district attorney plan to ask that bond be not. 3, 2, 1. Seeley's bond hearing is set for tomorrow morning here at the Autauga County Courthouse. Sheriff Turner says he and the district attorney plan to ask that bond be denied Seeley because of the extreme nature of the case. Lynn Sampson, WSFA TV News. Yeah, 3, 2, 1. Seeley's bond hearing is set for tomorrow morning here at the Autauga County Courthouse. Sheriff Turner says he and the district attorney. Okay, but new battery, take 1. In 3, 2, 1. Edward Seeley's bond hearing is set for tomorrow morning here at the Autauga County Courthouse. Sheriff Turner says he and the district attorney plan to ask that bond be denied due to the extreme nature of the case. Lynn Sampson, WSFA TV News. For 10 for VO.
You and I and anyone that thinks about what happens when you turn criminals loose would be in a dangerous situation. Another point I want to make. The money that was loaned to me by the legislature, I want to thank them. I want to thank the governor's office for showing and sharing in a concern for the safety of the people of this state and having faith in me to believe that our office would be successful in repaying this money to the state of Alabama. We are going to return today $448,758. This check is made payable to me as Attorney General of the state of Alabama, and it's a refund for the contempt monies that we paid in since we began paying it in on November the 20th, 1983. The money that was loaned to us by the legislature will be returned within the same fiscal year that they gave it to me, which means that the prison system will be able to use this for prison improvements. They will not lose their conditional appropriation in this fiscal year because the money will go back to them. In addition, and something that really kind of sweetens the pot, is I'm returning $32,709.37 that is interest that was gained on the monies that we paid to the federal court and held in an interest-bearing account. This $32,000 will go into the general fund today over and above the monies that was loaned to me by the legislature. And you know, it's kind of trite, but I just sometimes want to tell a federal court that I told you so. Hopefully we won't have to deal with this kind of situation ever again, but we know one thing, the state of Alabama is $32,000 richer because of an error made by a federal judge, and I'm pleased today to be able to return that money. Do y'all have any questions at all with regards to this order?
How do you perceive the state regaining control?
There is a prison to file appropriate kinds of modification papers to the court. The court certainly, in my judgment, can read. It may have been a little confused as to what prior orders came out of the 11th Circuit, but this one, I believe the court can. Sweeping changes being made and who makes the decisions and who has control of the Alabama correctional system. Case will agree that that's too restrictive. Yes, ma'am.
If the court's ruled that you don't have standing to participate and there's to be a hearing at some time in the future on the release of inmates.
Two, you cannot, a federal court cannot release prisoners based on some isolated factor. And thirdly, the contempt law that came out of here. And fourthly, I do not have standing to go in and modify. We accomplished what we. There have been a number of possibilities. There are some states that allow, and it's just merely too restrictive on the ability of the state to comply with something. Resolved through the middle of 1985, I feel quite sure that that we're going to have some more facilities. The question is how many. You may feel that building a few facilities today is unrealistic as far as the capital that we may have. The problem didn't begin yesterday. The problem began in the early 70s, and it was not addressed in the early 70s. It was not addressed in the 70s at all, and as a result, as population grew, as various variables and factors entered into the increase in crime throughout Alabama through the 70s, changing of philosophies with regards to a number of things in the criminal justice system, we tore down a prison and built a prison, and as a result, population grew with no facilities. So now, over the past 4 years, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and money have been put into that, and it's gotten to the point where it should have been 6, 7, 8 years ago.
So new facilities will definitely have to be built.
Commissioner Smith said that the governor was going to propose a sales tax, a 1 or 2% sales tax. But a day or two afterwards, the governor's press secretary said that that was not in fact so, that the governor had never suggested that, and apparently there was some miscommunication between the corrections people and the governor's office. So, as far as I know, there's never been any serious talk about any sales tax for the
Where
building.
would the funds come from then, to build these new facilities?
It would, of course, have to be appropriated by the legislature.
Well, Charlie, one of the things that the attorneys representing the prisoners have said is that we'll be in shape if, you know, if it's all kind of, what you're saying is that it's all kind of iffy right now. There may has to be some prisons, but we don't know where the funding's coming from. I mean,
Well, what I'm saying is, what the knowledge that I have of the facts as they presently exist is that the Alabama state penal system is in compliance with all prior orders, with relatively few exceptions, one major exception being the 60 square foot rule.
there are some other exceptions too, though, aren't there? The attorneys have said there are some other areas aside from that 60 square rule. What do you see as?
To my knowledge, there are not any of any significance. If the 60 square foot rule is modified to something reasonable and something the state of Alabama, as a practical matter, can comply with, we have no further problems within our system. And if there needs to be another institution built in the middle of 1985, that's something that can be addressed by corrections in this administration, in this upcoming session of the legislature. I understand, and again, mostly the information I receive from corrections is second and third hand, but they're looking at another location, another site, and I feel confident that one will be built. It may not be built within a year, but one will need to be built within a short period of time.
Well, you know, looking at all we've discussed here, when do you see as the earliest that the state could regain control of the prison system?
If Judge Varner would set a hearing tomorrow, we could regain, and he would rule tomorrow, which is unrealistic to think. But if he set a hearing tomorrow and allowed the state of Alabama, if we were in a position at that time to present evidence, and we should be, because we've been in a position for 3 years, we've been asking for modification for 3 years. If he set a hearing tomorrow, we could be in control of the prison system next week.
I'm sorry, you could what?
We could be in control the state could have control of our prison system next week.
So the answer is to modify the 60-foot rule, and if it is, then there won't be any more problems at all? You won't even need to build a new institution?
You might need to build an institution simply because of the numbers of criminals that we've got in our penitentiary today. You know, if you really think about it, I don't want to get too, you know, into areas outside of